Welcome back in, everyone, for another one of these fun explainer videos we've been doing for the podcast and just in general. I'm David Hookstead, obviously host of American Joyride, which is why you are all here right now. We've been doing a series of these kind of explaining what is SEAL Team 6, what is Delta Force, famous events throughout history, all of that and much, 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 much more. Today, we're actually going to be talking about the time Delta Force fought several hundred guys all at once. And if you believe the stories, took out every single one of them. I am, of course, talking about the April 2nd, 2003 engagement in the opening days of the Iraq War. So what exactly happened? Well, let's lay the backdrop here. Let's lay the background to this infamous military engagement. What happened is we rolled through technically in the history books into Iraq March 20th, 2003. But that's not actually quite exactly what happened. Units from Delta Force actually entered via Saudi Arabia, crossed the berm March 19th, a day earlier. There's been some claims that it could even have been 2 or 3 days earlier. From my interviews that I've done, from the people I know in Delta Force, they crossed the berm, C Squadron of Delta Force specifically, on March 19th. 2003. They immediately started taking out guard towers. You can listen to that in the Greg Coker interview where they talk about lighting up the ground forces, the helicopters leading the way. So essentially, you had a small unit of about 40 operators with about 20 support guys, is my understanding. And their job was to wreak havoc on the Iraqi infrastructure, just essentially run roughshod across the desert. It's a desert mobility operation. And they did that with great success. So what happened on April 2nd? Essentially, they had what was called ROD sites, rest over day sites. So Delta Force would fight at night, and then they would rest during the day and camouflage their vehicles. I did an interview with Chris Van Zant a long time ago where he discusses this. Brad Thomas has discussed this event to some degree, although a little bit less. And other people, I believe Chili Palmer's talked about it with me. It's been discussed at length, but we're going to kind of bring all those stories together here and get into it. And essentially what happened is the Delta Force operators were spotted by, I believe, a sheep herder while they were in the rest over day site. Quickly, that sheep herder was able to alert many people, and they assembled what was known as a Fedayeen fighting force. Now, what's a Fedayeen fighting force? That's the equivalent of essentially the best soldiers and most loyal soldiers that Iraq had for Saddam Hussein. So all of a sudden, these 60 guys who are in heavy vehicles, they have 50 cal machine guns, they've got heavy weaponry, they've also got sniper rifles, they've got plenty of ammo. Is one guy I know who was there said they're not worried about whether or not they're going to run out enough bullets. They can get air support. Their ability to get assets into the region absolutely exists. So I will tell you what I know based on the people I know who were there and part of that unit. Essentially, they came from all sides. It's essentially 3 sides for sure. And they came off from 1,500 yards, 1,400 yards, 1,300 yards, 1,200 yards. And the Delta Force operators just dig in and they say, you know what? If they want a gunfight, we're going to give them a gunfight. And why this is so interesting is you have hundreds of enemy fighters coming, and you would think, well, you're in vehicles. Why don't you just get in them and drive away? Now, reportedly, they had come up, these Fedayeen fighters had come up against some British SBS, that Special Boat Service soldiers or sailors. I don't know what they call them over in England. And they had retreated upon making contact. Delta had no intention of retreating. Zero. The C Squadron members there, they were dug in. They had weapons. They were ready to fight. That's exactly what they were going to do. And essentially, once the first round cracked off, all hell broke loose. They're firing from every position they've got. They've got Ruger SR-25 sniper rifles. They're engaging these people hundreds and hundreds of yards out. They've got 50 cal machine guns. They're pumping these guys with. And the problem for the Fedayeen fighters, depending on who you believe, there's say it was as many as 400. It could have been as few as 150, but they're laying waste to these Iraqi special forces, essentially. I mean, they are just mowing them down. It is an absolute disaster. What they didn't know was that the plan was always assuming the Delta Force operators would get in their vehicles and retreat. And there was about 100 to 150 people lying in wait in the rear, according to the people who were there. And when they were going to retreat, they were going to attack. And they would essentially cut them off, have them surrounded. But there's this beautiful thing that the United States has called air power. So the Delta Force operators on the ground, who I'm sure had a couple Air Force CCTs out of the 24th STS embedded with them, wink, wink, immediately start calling in air support. They send DABs, which are direct action penetrators. They're essentially modified Black Hawks, where you're not meant to fly around in them and carry a bunch of people. They are armed to the teeth. They are a combat helicopter. They send at least one, I believe, two A-10 attack planes, which are literally designed to hit ground targets. And someone gets on the radio and says, hey, you got a bunch of guys in the rear here who are set up in a textbook ambush position if you guys try to, come back. And so what do you want us to do? According to the people who were there, the call goes back out on the radio, destroy them. And all of a sudden you just hear gunfire everywhere coming from these planes, and they drop multiple bombs. Some of these bombs that they dropped were so close to the front line, it was about 50 to 60 feet from where the Delta units were positioned. Now, I do want to take a moment and say, Air Force CCTs out of the 24th STS, as you know from previous interviews I've done, especially the one with Dan Schilling, their ability to call in precision strikes is unlike anything in the world. Their ability to get in bombs at close range and hit targets without hitting the good guys is essentially unprecedented. There's no one else who can do it. So that is essentially what happened. You had 400 Iraqis roughly that tried to take on 40 shooters plus their support people and got laid to waste. They wasted them. And we did lose, the United States of America did lose one member by the last name of Fernandez. I believe his name was George Fernandez. And he was the only KIA. So we lost one. They lost several hundred. And that just goes to show that the fused power of what's in the air with the guys on the ground, when you're talking about the best shooters and they got 50 caliber machine guns and they've got long range precision weapons, there's really nothing they can't do. And I would say this as well. One of the guys who was there told me he was set up in a sniper position. And once he took his first shot, he just heard the 50 cal come zipping in from a different position. So it is really a testament to all the guys that were there. And I'm going to right now, I'm going to cut to Brad Thomas briefly talking about that engagement so you can get his thoughts on what happened. You can watch that right now.
It was kind of post gunfight. We were outnumbered and surrounded by, 130, 150 dudes, and had, at least beat everybody back enough that, that was kind of that moment when that picture was taken. So we didn't necessarily know at the time, like, it was any gunfight is a scary moment, and, you don't really necessarily know the outcome. But it was almost, for me and where I was, it was almost a fun gunfight. Like, they couldn't hit me where I was, and they couldn't hit my group where we were based on the terrain. And so we were almost kind of laughing, running back and forth, shooting at these guys over here, go grab some more ammo, go shoot at these guys over here. And so it wasn't, a terrifying moment. It turned into not to be a terrifying moment. But then we started hearing radio calls, hey, we got some people hit and injured, and okay, well, now this is a serious thing. It's not a funny thing anymore. And if anything, the post kind of reflects that, where, right, initially, hey, haha, fun. This was, a good day. And then, somebody paid the ultimate price that day.
And that's pretty much it. So 400 bad guys, 40 operators from Delta Force. We walked away with one KIA. They walked away with, according to the guys who were there, not a single survivor. So it really, again, I cannot stress this enough. You're talking about the baddest men on the planet when it comes to direct action combat, snipers, the ability to get air power in there, all of it. So that is the story of when 400 Iraqi special forces fought Delta Force and got absolutely obliterated. If that doesn't make you proud of our United States military, I don't know what will.